Hello, the doc is in and welcome back to another, I don't even know what to call this. Let's just call it what it is. A video about One Punch Man, the Holy Scripture, chapter 165, Absolute Evil. Now, a quick recap for the last chapter. Basically, the important part for this chapter is, last chapter we had the redraw. If you're not aware, basically, we redrew like the whole last section mainly. And the important part to know is that we don't have the scene where Garou and Saitama sit down anymore. Basically, Garou gets spoken to by God. And when he returns, he is awakened Garou, from the webcomic, but he's awakened Cosmic Fear Garou. And he looks so damn cool. And then that's how we end the chapter. We just get to see his form. He encounters Saitama. They're going to fight, obviously. And that's where we end off the chapter. Going into this chapter, the only thing you need to know is that is literally some of the greatest chapter reading I've ever done in person, ever. Chapter is a 10 out of 10. Arguably 100 out of 10, but 10 out of 10 if we're just staying on scale. If you have the opportunity to read this chapter yourself, go read it. It's experience. But I'll try to give it. But if you want to watch the video and just learn from here, hey, let's go along for this ride. All right. So the chapter starts off with just a general explanation of what the water flow rock smashing fish is all. Water stream rock smashing fish is all about. Basically, it's about flowing energy and using it to your advantage. Basically, that's the gist of it, right? And Garou's technique not technique, but his ability to learn everybody else's techniques and stuff and use them against them and figure people's moves out pretty quickly is kind of like an extension or like let's say a mutation of the base model where you're using the flow of the energy of the person's body and just the world around you to fight. By him kind of evolving that, he's kind of able to absorb the energy of people's attacks and techniques and copy them by internalizing that energy effectively. When we get that explanation, then first off, great panel. Great panel. But basically we get that Garou's gained the knowledge of all energy and the behavior of all forces in the universe. And that's why he's now learned the newest fist, all right? All life eradication fist. That's pretty broken. And the panel we get of him has a galaxy swirling in his chest. Because you know what? Let's just make him look fucking badass. All right? I guess that's what we decided to do. And I think that was, they accomplished that goal swimmingly. And so we open up the fight with a nuclear fission punch. All right, nuclear fission punch. If you've ever seen a nuclear blast go off, in a picture, we get a representation of that after Garou decides to just throw a fist, and just a nuclear explosion just went off, and we get a representation for this by having I can only assume. Oh yeah, actually no, these are the people from the ship. They'll probably have an alert thing that tells them if there's been a nuclear explosion in the area, like a radiation area or whatever. And basically the ship goes off and they're just it was a nuclear attack. I'm like, his punch was equivalent to a nuclear bomb. And you just hit Saitama with it. I'm just like, what in the world? And then following that little panel with the people from the ship, we then just get a bunch of giant explosions, just some in midair, just giant explosions. And we can only assume that it's just Garou throwing fists. And these are individuals. So this is just like a 1, 2, 3. He's not even going fast with it yet. He's not even going fast with it. He's just throwing little jabs. And it's blowing my mind. It's literally blowing my mind out of my skull. Literally, my brain is on the floor because it's just that cool. Do you understand how crazy this is? This is only page 10 in a 40-page chapter. Just process that with me. Just sit there and take that in. insanity. But anyway, moving on. Let's not get too sidetracked. All right, I still have stuff to discuss at the end of the chapter. So we have the explosions going on, and we have like different people seeing it, and we have Psychos. Psychos is watching it, and basically she gives like an observation. She's like, "Are those like the energy spheres that Homeless Emperor has?" Obviously, she knows that. I think she knows that it's not actually Homeless Emperor, but she's just looking at like the giant explosion. She's like, "Whoa!" She references it as divine power, and mentions how the balls are massive and we just get to see her for a little bit, and then we get even more nuclear explosion depictions with like literal mushroom clouds, and they're gigantic. Again, I've never seen a mushroom cloud in person. I'm sure it's pretty crazy to look at in person, but like just a representation of this in a panel is whoa. I'm like, and the art go crazy. And not to mention the fact that on page 12, there's straight up as an animation. This is my reaction to it. Like when I was reading the chapter, I was like, I have to record this because I can't like screenshot it. So here we go. There's an animation in the chapter. One Punch Man is peak. And from there, we see like some of the heroes kind of reacting to this. Is like, who's over there fighting? Garo's like, not Garou. Genos is like, has to be Sensei. And of course it's Sensei. I mean, we'll get into that in the later part, but yeah, it has to be Saitama. And so after this little display, and everybody's just like, what in God's name is going on? Literally God's name, what is going on? We have Saitama coming in and immediately bringing me back to the fact that, oh yeah, this is One Punch Man, and this is Saitama we're fighting. And so he immediately opens up after this, what I can only imagine is a monumental onslaught. He's like, you messed up my outfit. I'm like, Saitama, please just be a little serious for like a second. I can't be losing my mind and you just be like, dang, my clothes messed up. Like, please take the situation a little bit more seriously. And Garou's on the same kind of timing. He's like, you can't seriously have just gotten that kind of onslaught and just been like, my outfit. Like, you can't be serious. And after Garou says that and whatever, sound like a real serious bad guy. Because I mean, at this point, I'm like, dang, this is pretty serious. Saitama's like, bro, stop talking like that. Like, you're not really a villain for real. And even if you were, I'm gonna step on you. And Garou's like, you can't step on me. I can do whatever I want at this point. I'm built different. And so Garou's like explaining. He's basically like, yo, in martial arts we got like these different things called shake, shakkei, and he's basically like, oh, that's like the crane stance, snake stance, like the different animal forms, like using nature's energy to kind of influence the way you fight, right? Garou's like, well, shake's cool, techniques, whatever. But personally, I think modes sound cooler. I'm like, that's kind of hard. And also, most people are like that. Modes does sound cooler. And so he's like, you know what? I have my own mode. I have my own modes I want to try out. And he decides to just bust out Saitama mode, which I'm like, wait, no, that's illegal. And he turns his face. It's like Saitama's face. I'm like, this is broken. That's broken. How are you supposed to you can't Garou over Boros. What is going on? I mean, I guess he hasn't experienced like a serious punch, but I'm like, if he experiences it and he survives, he just wins. Oh my, it's so broken. So he busts out Saitama mode, right? And immediately goes in consecutive normal punches. I'm like, that's illegal. And then obviously Saitama kind of counters it, and they have like a punching class. What is this? This is JoJo's. You're not supposed to have a punching class in this manga. This is broken. This is See, Garou power scaling is broken. Saitama is also broken. But the manga itself, just like what it represents, it's broken. Like, it beat top manga. Like, who we compare? Boruto? Boruto who? Like, over who? One Piece? Who? One Piece could never. That's all I'm saying. It's different. And when they had the punches clash, bonk panel, it's just another gigantic explosion. It kind of looks like an eye at the top part. I don't think it's like a God reference, but it's just a cool panel. And it gets to the point where they're trading fists, like classic antagonist versus protagonist fight or main rival fight, where they both punch each other in the face and they go flying. Since when does Saitama trade fists with people? He does not do that. That is illegal. Now, given, you could still say that Saitama's holding back to a certain degree, but that's still different. Like, that does not happen. Like, Saitama does not throw fists with people and they match them. That's illegal. Ever. That's crazy. But anyway, they knock each other into the ocean below, or lake, whatever is going on with the water below them. But basically, they fall in the water and they both come out. Saitama like swims out, kind of. Obviously, you know, he's like super strong, so swimming out basically means he came out like a missile. And Garou, being cool as hell, just jumps out. And Garou, after coming out, he's laughing. He's like, "This is the first time someone's ever matched you in an exchange of blows," which to me it must be. And he's like, "You seem at a loss for words," is what Garou says. And so Garou was like, "You know, I'm copying your techniques, but it's only a matter of time before I truly perfect them and become much better than you. Speed-wise, power-wise, like, your time's almost up, old man." I mean, he doesn't say that, but he basically is saying, like, you know, with my ability to copy techniques and the fact that I'm gonna be able to perfect your technique, it's only a matter of time before I beat you, you know. Now, obviously, Saitama hasn't shown his full power, so, you know, Garou's still gonna lose in the end. But just the experiences in the moment, it's like, that's pretty terrifying to deal with. Someone who's matching her power and then proceeds to say, "I'm gonna perfect this and beat you now." And so, after Garou says this, Saitama is basically like, he's basically being like, "Dang, like, I really told that kid I wasn't gonna hurt you." And that kind of suggests that Saitama's gonna be taking the follow-up of this fight pretty seriously, because he's basically kind of suggesting in a way that he's gonna have to hurt Garou, which is kind of wild. Which is like I said, it's kind of wild. But nonetheless, Garou then proceeds to be like, "Oh, you know, you're so worried about that kid? Like, we're literally on the same level." And clearly Saitama's like overpowered, and Garou's kind of acknowledged this. He's like, "You know, I'm approaching your power. Well, not even approaching. We're on the same power level. I'm going to eclipse you. And you're worried about that kid." And then basically Garou's kind of like, "You know what? I'm going to show that brat that all the heroes are kind of powerless," or whatever, right? You know, he's been saying that for a while at this point. And Saitama's basically like, "You know, you seem kind of concerned about that kid too. If you're making fun of me for being concerned about the kid, but you literally just point out that you're trying to like prove something to that kid, you know." And so then we see, first he starts charging energy, just building up, kind of like a black hole thing that Blast has, but a little different. And then we see all life eradication fist, and we have Saitama kind of like seeing like, "Oh snap, he's kind of charging up a lot of energy. It's kind of weird." So he's like, better make sure I move out of the way, move off the planet. It's like, then he doesn't like do whatever he's about to do to the planet. And Garou was basically like, "Bro, you can't just dodge it by jumping. What is going on?" And then he busts out this blast, gamma ray burst. All right, and let me just say, the panel that shows this, a giant freaking just Garou's a hand-to-hand fire. Why does he have ranged Kamehameha? No, not even Kamehameha. Super Kamehameha. No. Father-son Kamehameha level blast just going on. Final Flash level shots. Like, what is going on? This is something that, like, if it hit the planet, I would reasonably expect it to explode. Like, what is the deal? And we get a little explanation. A gamma ray burst is actually a real thing. And basically, that is a explosion that happens only when a massive star dies. And that's what a gamma ray burst is. And Garou, I wouldn't say casually, but maybe not necessarily casually, but he just did one. All right, he just shot Saitama with one. And it is a freaking ginormous explosion. explosion. Like, it cannot be stressed that, not even explosion, but a giant attack, like, is absolutely massive. It's so bright that bystanders watching this, the heroes around, are kind of like, it's brighter than the daytime. So that means that shot is brighter than the sun, which is pretty wild. And so we have like not Bang, Bomb reacting, and some of the other heroes that are around, they're just like, whoa, is that a special move? We have Metal Bat being like, dang, sun's so bright, his head spinning, whatever. And we have a little scene with a My Mask and Flashy Flash, and a My Mask comes in pressed. All right, well, not even pressed. He comes in pressing. He's over here trying to press Flashy Flash. He's like, ayo, why you got a monster with you? And yeah, he's My Mask looking real serious. Like, he got the veins going on or something. And Flashy Flash nonchalantly is like, oh, I found an exotic animal that lights up the dark, and so I'm keeping it. And I forget her name. I think it's Monako. I might be referencing something very different. If I am, my bad. But yeah, they're basically like, oh, I'm an exotic animal. But Garou, after shooting this giant blast at Saitama, he just casually pulls up, and we just have him looking at all the heroes. Like, everybody's there. We got Purry Prisoner just naked in the back, laying on his back, laying on his chest. You have everybody just kind of like turn their heads to what could only be described as what will be later described. No, we'll hold that later to be going to be described as for a second. And we have, again, Garou looking fucking immaculate. There's one panel, right? And basically, we have like narration. It's basically like all the heroes knew beyond a doubt that the source of that massive explosion of energy was this monster. We have Bang on the floor being like, is that Garou? I mean, he doesn't even have a face. So it's only the fact that like his hair and general body type kind of looks the same that you can even really say like, is that Garou? And so, I mean, obviously some people have also seen him kind of start getting monsterized. So it's kind of like, okay, logical connection. A monster that kind of looks like the hero hunter who is turning into a monster. It seems about right. And so everybody's just like, hey, yo, we got Tank Top Master. He's like, hero hunter's turned to a monster. We have a Zombie Man. I'm pretty sure that's the name. I forget. But he's like, this is bad. I can feel it in my skin. Yeah, Flash Flash basically be like, I can't even run away because it would be a waste of time. And he's just standing there looking at him. And everybody else, all the regular people, but I imagine even the heroes to a certain degree, they're just looking at this, and we get another set of narration. Well, we first get thought of like, how have I become it? This is what Garou's thinking, and we get narration. The symbol of fear that brings all heroes to despair, absolute evil. I'm not gonna lie, that goes kind of hard. And then Garou looks up, and I can only imagine it kind of like the way that the stars kind of come off his face. It kind of looks like he's crying, and like the congregation around his like eye areas with the stars, it kind of looks like he's crying. He's kind of happy that he's finally achieved his goal, whatever. And I think he's thanking God for giving him this power. That was my assumption. And so we have Bang still in the area. He's basically like, Garou, is that you? He's like, and Garou is like, you're still alive? And basically, Bang is like, what's going on with your form, whatever? Like, I thought you were coming back to your senses a while ago, but now you seem to have fallen even deeper into the monster path. Like, what happened to you? Like, did a monster do something? And there's like a pause from Garou, and he's like, not exactly. And so we cut back to the scene between God and Garou, and basically, we have God turning into Bang and kind of trying to convince him to like take his power. And basically, Garou, when about to touch his hand, he says to smack it. He's like, I know that old man. He would never be so nice as to pick me up off the floor. And Then we have Garou having a reaction. Like, he seems to, like, you would only describe it as like him burning up or something. And God's like, even if you didn't fully take my hand, you did just barely touch it. And you see like the alien God looking face. And Garou's like, oh, I knew you were a monster. And then he's basically like, oh, you could think you could fool me, whatever. Who the hell do you think you are, kind of thing. Continuing to be tough. And God's basically like, bro, you're going to be my avatar. I'm going to give you my power. What you want to do with it? Well, you already know what to do. All right, don't worry about it. And God leaves. And then Garou then proceeds to start transforming. And he describes it as like, basically, it's like the intense amount of power that's in it that flows through his body. He like almost loses his consciousness and stuff. I'm like, dang, this shit's getting wild. And then basically that's pretty much how it seems like he got to where he is. I mean, I can only imagine that's like extremely painful. I mean, I cannot imagine putting galaxies on your chest is exactly a very easy peasy process. I'm pretty sure it's like maybe slightly worse than getting a tattoo, I will imagine. And Garou basically is like kind of thinking Bang. He's basically like, you taught me about the flow of energy. I become one with the flow. And that is in essence what this power is. This is me becoming completely in control of the flow and everything. And he says, basically, thank you. And due to Bang's teachings and the Water Stream rock smashing fist, he was able to not become a puppet for God. And so Garou's like, of my free will, I'm about to tear stuff up. And so when Bang asks him, what are you going to do? Garou thinks in his head like, sorry, Terrio, this is goodbye. And he says, time to conduct evil, with people in the background besides Bang, obviously, because he's not really too bothered. Everybody's just like a regular person, literally shitting bricks. And Garou's just walking towards them like, different, very different. And that's the end of the chapter. And oh my god, this like I said at the very beginning of this, 10 out of 10, easy. Don't even need to discuss it, don't need to think about it too hard. It's 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10 even. This is an immaculate chapter by far. There's a lot of things to discuss. I feel like I'll probably have to make a second video because this video is all just in the recording section. It's like almost 23 minutes long, and I don't know how I feel about making a 30-minute video. But with that being said, Garou seems to be very, 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 very strong. Now, obviously, of course, Saitama is still going to win in the end, but just the idea that Garou was so strong even that he kind of got rid. Well, Boros kind of did a similar thing by kicking Saitama to the moon, but Saitama came immediately back. Like, Garou's having full-on conversations with people and like having like a full villain moment, and Saitama's just I wouldn't say out of commission. I imagine he's not even knocked out necessarily, but he's like gone. That is not normal. Like, people don't just get rid of Saitama. Like, that is not that simple. So I mean, the power level of Garou, like I said, I don't know. I don't know if I need to discuss it, but current Garou versus Boros, it's a wash. I mean, before you could definitely made a case like, okay, maybe I don't know if necessarily Garou could. No. Current Garou, oh no, he just slaps him up. He packs that boy up. This Garou's older brother, Boros' little brother. All right, Boros was acting up, so Garou came in and started smacking up upside his head. He was like, stop doing that, bad boy. I'm like, whoa, that strength level go crazy. And currently, I mean, obviously, when Saitama's like fighting him, Garou's not able to surpass him, but I wouldn't even say Garou's been pressed yet. Like, well, I mean, in his current form, he's not been pressed yet. Like, he's not been pressed by anything Saitama's done. Now, given maybe Saitama just needs to resolve himself, he did say, like, kind of like acknowledge the fact that, like, I didn't really keep my promise to the kid based on the current situation. Like, I'm probably going to need to, like, put in some effort into defeating Garou, and that might require hurting him. And I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why Saitama's maybe stepped away. Maybe he needs to go talk to Terry and kind of be like, hey kid, your friend over there, kind of evil. Might have to put some hands on him, but don't worry about it. I'll try not to kill him, maybe. So yeah, the modes thing. Oh, that's different. That is different. That is very different. All right. I mean, it fits in line with what Garou has going on, but I'm just like, dang, that's different. And based on how the chapter ends, actually, no, let's not even touch on the ending just yet. With Garou, the situation between God and Garou, it's very interesting because initially it's kind of set up that, oh, God came to Garou. God was like, take my hand, and Garou, kind of assuming that was Bing, just took his hand. But the idea that he still, even that the fact that he still to a certain degree resisted God kind of, gives more credence to like the idea of like, oh, God's his own, not God, but God was his own person. Like, it's not that easy. He doesn't get just tricked up that easily, whatever. But just dang, like the idea that he only touched for a second. I don't know if this is like, maybe if he would have like Garou would have fully taken his hand, maybe he would have gotten way more power, or if it's just like, the contract doesn't, or the contract or whatever agreement or however God gives away power like that doesn't really require the recipient to necessarily like all God really needs to do is just touch him. Like, it doesn't matter. Obviously, that's what happened here, where just because Garou touched God, like immediately he just gets all the powers. It's just thing. But it kind of suggests like, to get God's power doesn't even necessarily require you to agree or like want his power. Just like him getting in touch with you will give you some of his power, and whether that's like comes out as a lot of power like with Garou, or maybe just like smaller amounts, like maybe with the monsters, which is kind of suggested that monsters are kind of related to God possibly. But yeah, that's whoa. And with the end of the chapter, with Garou basically be like, I'm about to conduct some evil. First off, that's a hard line. Like, that sounds like kind of dumb, but like the way that comes off with him walking, and I can only imagine like in an anime or like an AMV, they're about to play some banger rock music or something real dark and heavy. Oh, that's gonna hit. That's gonna hit very differently. I need the color pages tonight, because this needs to be colored. 43 pages, I need to be a coloring book. I need someone to color this up right now. I would do it, but I suck at art, which is why I'm a doctor. Can't be great at all. But with that all being said, yeah, I guess I'll just have to end the chapter here. If you like the video, leave a like. If you dislike the video, I don't even know how you could dislike this video. I mean, it's One Punch Man. What is there to dislike? I guess it's me. But like the video because it's One Punch Man, alright? Comment, what do you think of Awakened Girl's abilities? Do you think Awakened Girl maybe pressed Saitama? What do you think of the interaction between Flashy Flash and Amaya Mask? I mean, it doesn't really matter because now the Garou showed up. It really, like, they're not gonna have that. They're probably not gonna finish that conversation. But yeah, that was an interesting moment in the chapter. What do you think of Garou's modes? How many other modes do you think he has? Do you think Garou's gonna throw any more blasts out, or you think that one gamma ray burst is the only thing he's really gonna show, like, just explosive energy wise? And really anything else, any other thoughts, either about the video, about the chapter, whatever. And if you're feeling generous and you enjoyed the video and you enjoy my content and you want to see more of it, feel free to subscribe and ring that little noti bell or something. And with that all being said, the doc is out. Peace.